Hello, and thank you for taking the time to view Charlie's House Safety Focus program. Each year, thousands of children are hurt because of unintentional injuries. Many of these accidents are preventable. Charlie's House is committed to reducing the number of injuries and accidents to children in and around the home. We do this in part by increasing awareness of the various hazards around a home and in a vehicle that could harm a child, and the ways to mitigate and eliminate those risks. Our community education program includes our Safety Demonstration House and the Safety Demonstration House virtual tour. Another community education program is this video, Safety Focus. Our Safety Focus is a series of educational videos that examine a specific topic. Throughout each presentation, including this one, you'll hear from health professionals, emergency safety personnel, and our community partners about common injuries associated with the topic, when to seek treatment, and safe alternatives. I hope you enjoy this presentation and that you gain useful information, and most of all, that you will take action to keep your child safe in and around the house.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stephanie Ellison. I'm an emergency physician at Truman Medical Center, and I'm here to talk to you today about firework safety. The 4th of July is just around the corner, and unfortunately, we still see injuries every 4th of July. And so I'm very serious about this topic, and I want to make sure you know what you need to know to stay safe, especially for your family. 4th of July is a great time to celebrate the independence of our country and to get together, have family barbecues, and to do the kinds of things that we've been wanting to do for a while. However, when it comes to fireworks, there is one rule: leave it to the pros. Only the pros know how to do this. And so these fireworks that you can see here on this table actually require that you light them and they explode. And so only the pros are trained for this. They wear the right stuff, they wear fire retardant clothing, and they have opportunities to train and be behind barriers and take the responsible actions that they need to stay safe. And so there are no safe fireworks. None of these are safe. So the burn facts that we have, as we know it in medicine, and the most current data I could find was 2019, we still see injuries over 10,000 per year of patients in EDs. Those are the ones that go to the EDs related to firework injuries. And those occur between June 21st, we're there, it's June 25th, and then all the way through July 21st. And we have not budged that number in 15 years. In fact, we only were good at getting that number because we started gathering the data 15 years ago and to accurate numbers. 70% of those occur, 7,300 injuries occur in that time period, with the greatest number in the week around July 4th. So we know injuries occur, and I want you to avoid that. In the emergency department, I'm not interested in having patients come in. I would rather it be empty and quiet. You've heard this before. And I'd rather everyone keep where they are and have a great time, and fireworks are too unsafe to even use them. We know that of those 7,300 firework-related injuries, 66% were to men and 34% were to women, so 2-to-1 ratio. And I think it's important to know that you shouldn't be using them in the first place. That's kind of the parting line today. Burn injuries overall tend to be the leading cause of disability and injury in young people under 19, and fireworks are part of that statistic. Children younger than 15 years of age account for 36% of estimated fireworks-related injuries. So that's a lot. 1/3 of them are to children, which none of us want. And then in 2019, nearly half of our ER visits that we had, the fireworks-related injuries were of people under 20. So it's those 15 to 19 that are also doing this and shouldn't be operating these sorts of things. There are a lot of facts. Kids 0 to 4 have the highest estimated emergency department visit and are likely to get admitted or have serious injury because of this. If you think about it, I'm little, my arms are short, and this is incredibly fascinating, especially if it's flaming or it's sparking, and I bring it close or I look at it. And so children 0 to 4 don't understand why they need to stay away from this, so they shouldn't have any access. Older teens 15 to 19 had the second highest estimated rate of being injured and visiting EDs. So we're seeing it in the very young. And so it's up to you as parents and adults, and even as older teens, to say, we shouldn't do this. There were an estimated 800 emergency department visits because of sparklers. Oh, my least favorite. Sparklers are crazy dangerous. They're fantastic. We've seen them in pictures. However, they're hot. As they burn, they have a lava-like substance that goes down on the hand, right where your kiddo's holding it. They wave them, throwing sparks everywhere. And then you get a hot fire rod of metal at the end of it. And so it's still dangerous. Even the spent fireworks are dangerous. The next most often injury that we saw were 600 injuries per year related to bottle rockets. And I remember my dad pointing a bottle rocket and like, no, no, no. I mean, you're shooting something on fire at things, including people. And so keep in mind, again, nothing that you light is safe. We saw a number of injuries related to small firecrackers or small fireworks. I think you've all heard of M80s to M100s, which are all illegal. But even these smaller firecrackers that you have, even just the little ones, led to 24% of these injuries that had to go to the ED. It burns your hand. It falls on your clothes. And so even though it seems small, it can actually injure your fingers as well. So those are the small ones. The big ones, big injuries. The parts of the body that are injured most often are the hands, the arms and upper extremities, and the fingers, followed by the face, and then the head. And if you think of kids, their head makes up a large portion of their body. And as I said, what do? They hold them close. Devastating injuries to the eyes, to the skin, and to the face. 50% of the emergency department injuries were related to burns. Any of these at any time can catch our clothes on fire. Most of our clothes are not fire retardant. Some nightgowns are, and some of those things that we've noticed in the home that can be safe are, but the majority of things we wear every day are going to catch on fire. Approximately 87% of the victims that were treated in an emergency department were released, and so we had small injuries, but that means 13% were transferred to a burn center. And so in town, we have 3 burn centers, Children's Mercy, Research Medical Center, and KU. But those are for things that are highly serious. Airway burns, burns up to your nose, anything with your hands, anything related to your groin, anything that goes around a finger, around a hand, around an arm. And so that's a lot of people. More than 1 in 10 had to be transferred to a burn center, sometimes for painful procedures or even admitted to the hospital. Okay, and then the following slides can be a little shocking. They're examples of why particular groups of people can be put at risk. And so the disabled subgroup of patients, the very young and the very old, are most at risk. Their movement times are slow, and sometimes their general understanding of what's going on around them can put them more at risk. And so you have to make sure you think of the elderly and then those with disabilities and learning disabilities. They just don't know any better. And so there's a number of things that can happen. Children under the age of 15 are more likely to be injured. And remember, like I said, they hold it close. So it burns to the face. The entire head is the largest surface area of the body compared to adults. And then hands and arms. And it can be incredibly disabling. Some of them will require medical care. I suggest that anyone who's been injured should go to an ER. You'll only know that you'll have a good outcome when we can take care of you. The long-term effects can also be very serious. Now, at taking care of burns, we've gotten better year after year after year. We're actually going to take such good care of you, 96.8% of people will survive. But that also means that 3.2% can die. And so we don't want anyone to have this as a result of fireworks. And then even if you survive, there can be very long-term emotional effects over the burns and scars that you have, including the emotional effects of adjusting to the world without, maybe having your hair or your ear being damaged by burns. And so there are long-term effects even if you survive. And yes, you could actually die from these burns. So I have a few do's and don'ts. I'm known as a Debbie Downer because I like to prevent all injuries. And so I will give you a few do's. There are great alternatives to this. There are glow sticks, and I'll show you a couple of pictures of that. There are confetti poppers that don't have any sulfur-based or explosive material in them like this one. And then colored streamers and flags. I mean, those are the things that kids love. And in our neighborhood, we use glow sticks based on family. And so, oh good, my kiddo's over there as it gets dark with a pink glow stick. And so that's kind of how we do it. So it can be a nice use anyway. Observe your local and state laws. Does anyone know what the state law is for Kansas City, Missouri? Yes.
They're illegal.
They are illegal. In Kansas City, Missouri, fireworks are illegal. There are other areas and suburbs, we are a city of suburbs, that they are legal. And so if you must, and if you do, I recommend a few things. if someone's going to use fireworks, it should be an adult, very far away. And you should have control over the kids, the elderly, and anyone with disabilities so that they can stay safe. They should be that one person who lights a firework, moves away quickly and behind a barrier if possible. And then children have to be at a safe distance behind a barrier. It's a lot of work. I just wouldn't use them. You should store fireworks out of reach. I have teenagers. I can already see them grabbing one of these and trying to run off, so I just don't have them in our house. And then if you do use fireworks, you should have a big bucket of water and that you have a chance to throw something in there if you need to. And then the spent fireworks are not within range or for them to touch because these still stay very hot afterwards and are still a risk, and you just don't think about it because it's already spent. Don't allow children to handle them. I'm lucky. My dad had an accident. I'm lucky he survived. But it also meant that he was very aware when I was growing up not to do things. He lived in a farming community of very few numbers, and he got bored, and he dropped matches in a gas can, and it blew up. Luckily, it burned out every time he looked over, and he threw it in and stepped away, and that's when it blew up. The shrapnel missed him. He didn't have any facial injuries, and he said to himself at the young age of 17, I should never do that again, and I should make sure my children, my future children, never do that again. I'm also lucky my husband was raised by a pediatrician. So I did. Let's go have some fun. Let's just light some smoke bombs and kick them down the driveway. And my husband, this was never part of his world. And he said, why would we do that? I was already an emergency physician, and that's a great point. I had to really rethink what was safe, and none of this is safe. And so we have not done this. We only take our kids to firework displays that are managed by the professionals. And so there are lots of places in town. This city is wonderful with that. So that's what you should choose as well. Don't attempt to alter, modify, or build your own firework. Let's just imagine for a moment you're building a bomb. Nobody should want to do that. And so it's not the entertainment that you want. Don't point or fire any fireworks at someone else. That is trouble waiting to happen. Don't ever hold any lit fireworks in your hand. Don't consume alcohol or drugs while you light fireworks, which is why I just don't do them. And then don't forget you can be held legally and financially responsible for any injuries that occur because you lit this firework and it hurt someone else. And we don't want to hurt anyone else anyway. So the safe alternatives are streamers. They can be very colorful. It's actually Pride Month. You can find them everywhere, and you can choose the colors that you want. The small American flags are available in the dollar store. They're so fun, watching kids run around, put them in their ponytail, all kinds of fun things you can do with that. I mentioned glow sticks, and then you can identify your kiddo as it gets darker at night. And those are really fun. You can wear them as necklaces, bracelets, you can wear them as ponytail holders. And then the push pop sort of confetti are much safer than these, because when you ignite this, there's a little bit of sulfur-based ignition in here, and it can come back and burn your hand, plus it can catch the paper on fire as well. So those are not safe. Sparklers are my least favorite. They can reach 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hotter than a blowtorch. And you would never hand your kid a blowtorch, ever. Thousands of firework injuries were treated in the United States hospital emergency departments, often leaving permanent damage. And these are especially at risk to spark back in your eyes, to stab your eye, to stab other eyes, and to catch your clothes on fire, plus the hot melting portion of this ignited part that's at 2,000 degrees straight to your hand with the hot metal poker after. Those are a no. My least favorite. So if you happen to be in an environment where someone doesn't take our advice, and I hope more and more people do, because I want to see these injuries go down, the fix is important. So anyone who gets a burn, if a firework injury occurs, you should cool it with cold tap water. Not freezing cold water, don't dump someone's ice water on it, but rather something cold. And so that will stop that extra burning, it will wash off anything that's burning, and it will provide some soothing relief up front. And then you should do everything you can to remove jewelry and any singed material or fabric or paper or anything from that's on that area, because it will continue to burn it. Jewelry especially, because this gets hotter and hotter with temperatures, and so as long as it's in contact with the skin, you want to just try to take it off. Then as you're transporting the patient to us, or if you call the 911 and the ambulance, you should dress it with a clean sheet. You don't need wet sheets. It depends how large surface area it is, but a clean, dry sheet is much more comfortable. It reduces that air stimulation of the burn, and you should absolutely seek medical attention. And I validate anyone who comes in, even if it's a small burn. I'm so glad you came in because this is really important. We take the best care of you and we decrease any injury or disability because of this. And then, even more importantly, have a safe 4th of July. Everyone deserves time off. We should celebrate the independence of our country, and you should celebrate time together in a connected way with family and friends. I just ask that you don't use these fireworks and you just enjoy time together over food, fun, and flags. Thank you for your time.
So my name is Jimmy Walker. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief for the Kansas City, Missouri Fire Department. I'm here today to talk about fireworks safety. So the number one thing with fireworks safety is if you are in Kansas City, Missouri, they are illegal. Please be careful. Do not use them in Kansas City, Missouri. Check your local laws. But as I'm sure you hear all the time about how dangerous fireworks are with burns, explosion, any type of bodily injury, I also want you to know that there's other risks involved with fireworks. They can cause house fires, building fires, grass fires spread to houses. So we want to make sure that if people are going to use fireworks, they're going to use them responsibly. I have some fireworks set out here on the table just to let everyone know not only the physical dangers that are associated with each of these, but it's also the fire danger. Here is our friend, the little parachute guy. Would you take a rag, light it on fire, and throw it on your roof of your house? I doubt it. That's what this is. So what happens with these little things is they float up. If you have a wood shingle roof, it's even worse, but don't think because you have a composition roof that you're safe because, number one, doesn't solve anything. Composition roofs can catch on fire. Number two, these little things can get caught in your gutter. I'm sure everybody here cleans your gutters on a regular basis, right? Right? Oh, come on. So if you haven't cleaned your gutter on a regular basis, dry leaves, these guys, no bueno. I can look down, the innocent little smoke bomb, right? Innocent, not even close. When this fuse hits this ball, what happens? A flame about that long shoots out of these. Not only can they cause burns to your hands, they can also catch things on fire. Remember, July 4th is in the dry season of the year. It is July, especially here in the Midwest. We can definitely have anywhere from drought conditions to a downpour. So if it's been dry for a couple of days, these little bad boys can light the grass on fire. A little wind, that fire can spread out of control really quickly. Our little friend, the M80 here, the M150, however you want to say it, this is in your hand when it goes off. You can say goodbye to your digits. But like I said, everything here that we have, I'm sure you've heard this before, the sprinkler or the sparkler. These things run approximately 2,000 degrees. They are hot. Again, leave it up to the professionals when you want to have a fireworks display because they're trained, they have the proper safety equipment. But again, if you are in a place where it's legal, I want to stress that number one, that you have distance between you and everyone who is going to spectate your little display. Number two, have a bucket of water there for your punks and other expended items. Number three, I want you to have a fire extinguisher close by to help put out those grass fires, to help put out any other little fire that you may have. Something I want to talk about that wasn't talked about earlier, but it's the dud. If you have a firework, if you see this little puppy and fuse goes down and nothing happens, that does not mean that there is not a fire burning inside this very slowly. It can go off 10, 15 minutes later. So we want to make sure that if you see a dud, I do not want anybody reaching down. I've seen the injuries myself where people have said, I lit it, it sat there for a few minutes, nothing went off, and then they've burnt or lost a finger. So with that being said, there are no safe fireworks, none whatsoever. Just leave it to the professionals. If you choose to do fireworks on your own and not go to professional display, that parents keep an eye on your kids, please. These are not toys. You shouldn't let your child touch fireworks, period. If you make the parental decision to do so, it should be under the strictest of supervision. And like we've heard before, if you let a kid light one of these and take off running around, you've basically let them run around with a molten piece of metal. And so if you are going to let your child hold these, you want to make sure they stay clear of other people, stay clear, keep the sparkler away from themselves. Again, I say that only as a precaution because I can't stop everybody from choosing what they do with their children. I can tell you what I do with mine, and that's what I do with mine. They don't touch them. So make sure that that you very clearly keep your children safe and away. That goes for if you go outside and your neighbors are shooting off fireworks. Remember, these things, this little thing right here can tip over. Now, while this is a fountain, this thing is still going to shoot sparks and everything that way. Your kid may be 20 feet away, but certain sparklers can go that way and burn you that far away. So you want to make sure that even if you're not the one shooting off fireworks, you want to be there to make sure your kids are in a safe enough location. I know everybody wants to let their kids run around on 4th of July because it is a fun day. It's a day that we're celebrating the birth of our nation, if you will. And so we want to you have to keep an eye on your kids that day because while you may be the most responsible parent in the world, it doesn't make other people responsible for your kids. So, I talked about that. Now let's talk about cleanup. When we talk about the next day, when the debris is everywhere from all of your neighborhood, not you, of course, because I know nobody here, after hearing this spiel, is going to be lighting off fireworks. But when your neighbors are outside cleaning up, just remember that inside of this package, you may have one or two that didn't go off. Okay, so if your kids are playing around helping clean up, there may be fireworks in there that are still alive that can still potentially cause injuries. Injuries don't just happen from the actual lighting off of the fireworks. It happens during cleanup as well. So we want to make sure that your kids, if they are helping clean up, are supervised and aren't out there where they can pick up these things, pocket them for later, and take them and potentially either have something happen that day, or if they put them in their pocket and try to shoot them off later. I mean, I know we all trust our kids, but kids were kids, so they need to be supervised. There's a reason we're parents and guardians, right? So any questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
What do you think of poppets?
I think poppets are as dangerous as anything else. I think that anytime you have a charge, anytime you have any kind of charge inside of any type of firework, very similar to these, those poppets still can cause a burn. I mean, we can say it may not be the most severe burn that you're going to have, but burn enough. And we don't want to see anybody burn at all. But it can cause a serious enough burn where it could get infected. And we just want to make sure if you throw it in somebody's face, it could cause an eye injury. You could lose an eye from a poppet. And so we want to make sure. Again, it sounds silly. I'm not being overly worried here, but there are injuries that we've seen, that the ER staff has seen. So we want to make sure that we are keeping our kids as safe as possible. And here at Charlie's House, that's what the goal is to try to prevent accidents in and around the home. And so that's what we want to make sure we do. And fireworks, we are welcoming, we're bringing in explosives for our kids to play with on a holiday that should be a good, happy holiday.
What about homemade fireworks?
Homemade fireworks are even more dangerous than the professional made. These fireworks are dangerous, and they are made under not even the best of conditions. So these are dangerous. Homemade fireworks, not only are they dangerous because we don't know how quick the fuse is going to burn, we don't know how quick the fuse is going to burn on these, and they're supposed to be lab tested. Homemade fireworks, you just never know what you're going to get if they've installed the fuse wrong. Sometimes, like I said, the fuse scares the heck out of me, but then again, we also don't know what kind of charge they've packed inside that. We don't know how stable they are. A lot of times the mixture of explosives can go off without even having a fire if it's from the impact. So we want to make sure we never, ever, ever do homemade fireworks. Not only to shoot them off, but during the production process, we had in Kansas City within 3 weeks ago, we had an explosion in a home from someone who did that, and that person was seriously injured, creating homemade fireworks. So, we want to definitely steer clear of that. It's like making a bomb is what you're making. It's the same thing. Would you feel safe if your neighbor was making pipe bombs or having a meth lab in their house? I would say, in my professional opinion, that making homemade fireworks is the equivalent to either one of those two. As I said, when fireworks are created, they're created under certain conditions, and the stability of the firework may not be consistent year after year. So we don't want to save these in your garage or anything else because they may not work properly next year. The fuses may get damp, the fuses may run fast, run slow, there's so many inconsistencies with fireworks. And storing in your house is a danger. It'd be like storing a gas can in your house next to your hot water heater. Again, very dangerous. So I advise that you dispose of the fireworks properly, which would entail dropping them off at your local police station so that they can contact the bomb and arson unit, which they would take them out to their range and safely dispose of them, and they'll make a fun show for you as well. They'll wrap that cord around it and blow up any fireworks they may have gotten from you. So, yep, dispose of them and get rid of them to the police station. It's not only your personal safety; it's the fire safety that's important in this time of year. We don't want to see anything happen to an innocent bystander's home as well as your own. So please be careful. Remember, in Kansas City, Missouri, fireworks are illegal and you can be prosecuted. So please, just do me a favor, go to one of the professional displays. Now we can do a little demonstration to show exactly what happens to simulated body parts when a firework goes off. So what we've got here is we put one black cat, one little bitty firecracker, the really innocent ones that people think that they can give their kids to throw. We put that inside of a tomato. The tomato is going to represent a child's hand, right? So we can see the kind of damage that would be caused just from this black cat going off. So let's go ahead and it caused it to split. That's just one little firecracker, and you can see it made it come out from the inside. So that explosion right there would cause that much of an injury to one child's hand, which is pretty severe. And I think I'd love to have Dr. Elson come over here and explain that what kind of damage that she would think that this would cause in the ER. So we'll move on.
So now I'm a forensic scientist.
Yeah. Now you're but
Yeah.
So we have burn.
Yes. So if you can see up close, you can see the burn edges and that it even penetrated inside the tomato. It has fractured the skin on this tomato, which is not a lot different than the skin on your hand. And so look how large this is next to my fingers to give you some perspective. And that's what's happened between two fingers or a small hand. It's going to affect the whole hand. And so this is just not safe.
What we have here, instead of the little black cat that we did before that caused the burn injury and would have caused the flesh damage, this is going to be one of the generic M80s that you can pick up at any fireworks stand. So let's give this a try. So as you can see here, the damage that's caused on this one, it's even more significant than it was with the little black cat. So just imagine this is a child or an adult's hand, and the amount of surgery, if it doesn't get in your face and if you live, that'll be caused by this. So again, this just shows you how dangerous that fireworks are.